Some new details tonight in what will be a painstakingly long investigation into the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump at his campaign rally yesterday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marshall Zellinger.
And I'm Jennifer Meckles. We also are learning the names of the victims today. We do know former President Trump was hit in the ear. He was released from the hospital a few hours later. And a man in the crowd was killed. A former firefighter, 50-year-old Corey Campa-Ator, was at the rally with his wife and his two daughters. He tried to save their lives when the bullets started flying.
I asked Corey's wife if it would be okay for me to share that we spoke. She said yes. She also asked that I share with all of you that Corey died a hero. That Corey dove on his family to protect them last night at this rally. Corey was the very best of us.
Two other people attending that rally are now recovering after they were also shot, 57-year-old David Dutch and 74-year-old James Copenhaver. They are no longer in critical condition and they are expected to survive.
Several developments today in the investigation into the assassination attempt. The FBI is focused on the person they've identified as the shooter, 20-year-old Thomas Michael Crooks. He was killed after he opened fire on the rally from a rooftop nearby. Investigators say he was armed with a semi-automatic rifle registered to his father and that they found explosive materials inside his car and home. Homeland Security is looking into how this happened and who failed to secure the rooftop about 1.5 football fields away from the podium. When Denver hosted the DNC in 2008, then Senator Barack Obama faced his own assassination plot that never unfolded. It was a traffic stop that led to the discovery of an unlikely-to-succeed plot to kill Obama.
9 News reporter Angeline McCall spoke with the former U.S. attorney here in Colorado who investigated that case. Angeline?
Former U.S. Attorney for Colorado, Troy Ide, says he and many others spent months on that investigation. This one into the attempted assassination of former President Trump, he expects could take even longer, with hundreds, if not thousands, of interviews done by federal agents.
Take a look at what happened.
This is not an investigation that will take days. This is going to take months, weeks, months, to try to really understand it.
As the former U.S. attorney here in Colorado, Troy Ide has been at the center of important investigations.
When you have something that might be a plot, that might be a threat to a presidential candidate or to a president, you have to make sure that you leave no stone unturned.
Ide led the investigation into the unfounded assassination plot into then-Senator Barack Obama during the 2008 Democratic National Convention held in Denver.
From looking at the maps and the diagrams, it's plain there will be hundreds, if not thousands, of interviews just to make sure that there wasn't any sort of support for the shooter, a second shooter, some sort of assistance. To make sure that they understand.
Ide sees a parallel between what happened over the weekend at former President Trump's rally and what Colorado has learned in the wake of so many mass shootings.
This is a fascinating investigation as it unfolds, because I think this is the merger of potentially school shootings as we've come to understand them.
He says this is yet another example of how more needs to be done to offer mental health help and resources.
There is a certain risk that our public officials face and that public people face. That's part of why I think we need to be smarter as a society. We need to think more about how do we identify threats earlier in people's lives and try to get them help and protect the rest of the society.
A question many of us are now asking is, how did the suspected shooter have a line of sight to the president? And one thing I'd mentioned is that security clearance is not nearly as comprehensive for something like a campaign rally versus other events such as the Republican or Democratic National Convention. In the newsroom, Angela McCall, 9 News.
The Secret Service said today it is making no changes to the security plan for the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee this week. Starts tomorrow, ends Thursday, with former President Trump accepting the Republican nomination for president. He touched down in Milwaukee tonight as tens of thousands of people travel there for the convention. We spoke today with the Dean of International Studies at DU, who talked about how this assassination attempt will really shape the tone at the RNC.
He will arrive at the convention having not only survived this attack on him, but in the moment showing some courage, punching the air with his fist, apparently mouthing the word fight. It will energize his campaign even further.
We will really just have to see how things play out this week to really fully understand the impact on the convention.
The RNC every 4 years is not always scheduled over the same week, yet this isn't the first time something has happened just before the convention that required flexibility. The 2024 RNC will move forward this week as scheduled. In 2008, in St. Paul, Minnesota, the first day of the RNC was more or less canceled because of Hurricane Gustav making landfall in Louisiana. The next RNC in 2012 in Tampa, Florida, also saw the first day canceled because of Hurricane Isaac. The 2016 RNC in Cleveland, in which Donald Trump was nominated for president the first time, that one was normal. In 2020, the RNC scheduled for Charlotte did not happen in grand style because of COVID. Then President Trump ended up giving his nomination acceptance speech from the White House. And now tomorrow, the RNC is still scheduled to start normally under not normal circumstances following the assassination attempt of Trump.
For the second time today, President Biden addressed the nation. Tonight, he again condemned all political violence and called for unity.
Well, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down. We all have a responsibility to do that. Yes, we have deeply felt strong disagreements. The stakes in this election are enormously high.
Biden went on to say political debates and disagreements should really be solved at the polls in November, not by a would-be assassin.
Democratic Congressman Jason Crow joined the Colorado Democratic delegation condemning political violence. In a phone interview with me today, we talked about rhetoric. This is one of Crow's more recent social media posts. It's from last month. He wrote, "We can't forget January 6th. We can't forget Trump incited a mob to storm the Capitol. We can't forget Trump is a threat to democracy." I asked him, what did he mean by "we can't forget"?
Well, I think it's important that we recognize what's happened the last few years and what we're dealing with, right? We are in a national discussion right now about the future of our country. There will be an election in about 3.5 months that will determine which path we go. And there are two very different visions for that, right? So we can both condemn violence and say it has no place.
Can you see how the last part of that, we can't forget that Trump is a threat to democracy? I know there's people on the right that are saying it's language like that led to an event like yesterday.
I reject that notion. I absolutely reject that notion. You know, I have always called for peace, for us to have civil discourse, but we also need to be honest about what's at stake in this election.
We have added Crow's responses to our list of Colorado lawmaker reactions that we continue to update on 9news.com. We'll have continuing coverage of the attempted assassination of the former president as we learn more. And of course, we'll have the updates on our 9 News app.
Now we're going to turn our attention to the headlines back here in Colorado, starting with our other major story this weekend, this weather. Another hot day in Denver, a record setter. We beat the record for high temperature today when we hit 101 degrees, breaking a daily record set all the way back in 1878. Let's bring in Lauren Robinson now for a look at that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We reached another record this afternoon. That's going to be the second record in 3 days that we've broken here in Denver. Today, we made it to 101 degrees at DIA, which broke our existing record of 100 degrees set on this day in 1878. But the good news is going forward, we're going to see cooler weather start to settle into the area. So we're slowly going to see those temperatures drop. But this afternoon, we did see another hot one. We were in the upper 90s to triple digits across most of the Front Range and Eastern Plains. Same goes for the Western Slope. We saw those 70s, 80s, and low 90s in the high country, so it was a hot day all the way around. Now, as we monitor our HD Doppler radar, we are still looking at some moisture pushing its way in from the west. Very isolated light rain showers across the Western Slope into the high country and Front Range. But as we move into the Eastern Plains, we saw what were isolated showers and storms start to collide and become more widespread storms, a bit stronger at times, but all of those will continue to move their way out. So as we talked about our 7-day forecast, we're going to talk more about the storms tonight, the cooler weather that'll be heading in this week, and the several storm chances ahead. All of that for you just after the break.
Lauren, thank you. Tonight, we're following some breaking news out of Arapahoe County. South Metro Fire is responding to a fire at a public storage facility on South Parker near Bellevue. This is a live look at the area tonight. In just the last hour, we have learned an entire row of units were destroyed in this fire, damaged in this fire, dozens of units total. Nobody got hurt. That's the good news. Right now, Parker Road is still closed northbound from Chambers. Denver police have rolled out a new safety plan for parts of downtown starting this weekend. It's something they hope will cut down on crowd violence and those late night shootings when the bars let out.
As of this weekend, it's no longer a free-for-all grabbing your ride share. They can only pick you up in designated spots. DPD is focusing on safety in Lodo and the Ballpark District. The department partnered with Uber and Lyft to create designated pickup zones through their apps. This applies to the area between 18th and 21st Streets and Blake and Larimer Streets, and it's from 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Again, the idea is to try to prevent the bar crowds from escalating into trouble.
We're anticipating fewer bump into fights, which turn into aggravated assaults, which could potentially lead to violent gun crime as well. And so we're hoping that with the disbursement of the crowds, the disbursement of the patrons, the safety will increase.
If this means we never have to stop behind a suddenly flashing lights car because they just chose to pull over in the middle of the lane, sign it up 24 hours a day, citywide. Rant over. DPD plans to have extra officers out there to watch this new plan in action. If you order an Uber or Lyft in the no pickup zone, well, the app will just tell you to go to the pickup location.
Tonight, the CDC has confirmed 4 people in Colorado have tested positive for bird flu. The state says all 4 work with a poultry facility dealing with an outbreak of the virus already. There have been several outbreaks across states among dairy cows, birds, and the people who work with these animals. All 4 cases in Colorado for the humans are mild symptoms, and the CDC is helping the state investigate these outbreaks. The state says samples for a 5th worker also came out presumptive positive. They're waiting on that sample for the CDC to turn around and confirm that one or not.